What's up, Seattle Sports Nation? It's the guys from the Seattle Sports Soup here with a big Super Bowl special podcast for you guys with the big game on Sunday. Lots to talk about, but we'll start off with today's injury report. Marshawn Lynch was the only one not to practice, but it was not for any injury reasons.
He never practices on Wednesdays.
Exactly.
Too busy eating Skittles.
The bigger news, though, is that Harvin was a full practice, and all signs point to him being a 100% ready to go on Sunday. What kind of impact do you think he's going to have, Marsh?
Well, I said last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, after the 49ers victory, I was just thinking about how crazy it would be if Percy Harvin was the Super Bowl MVP and just put the team on his back. I mean, I think he's going to have a huge impact on this game. It makes the team better, obviously. I kind of think he'll be Russell Wilson's security blanket to some extent. We've seen Doug Baldwin become played that role as of late, but I think both of them together will be pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, I think Harvin is the fifth most likely, according to the Vegas books, of being the Super Bowl MVP behind Lynch, Wilson, Manning, and Demaryius Thomas, not in that order. But I think one thing Harvin does, he just opens up the field a lot for the other players because he's so electric. Whenever he has the ball, defense has to focus a lot of attention on him, which could potentially open up a lot for the other receivers, which is why I think Golden Tate had a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think he could open up the seams a lot since he comes down on those underneath crossing routes. I think that'll force the safeties, linebackers to check down, which will open up the seams for Baldwin in the slot, and also
Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson's a monster.
Wilson and Miller down there too.
No doubt. So obviously some of the big matchups we've already detailed, that you detailed in your article, the Seahawks secondary and how it matches up with the Broncos passing game. But what do you think the keys are for the Seahawks secondary, and which guy do you think is the biggest threat for them to try and stop?
I mean, they need to get really physical. Demaryius Thomas, I think Sherman's going to be on the left side of the field the whole time. But I think it'd be nice to have Sherman on Thomas the whole time because Thomas is kind of a quiet guy, does no trash talking at all, so might be useful for Sherman to get in his head, get physical with him. But I think Maxwell will do fine on him as well. I think a key matchup to watch is Julius Thomas. I think he'll be the best tight end they've faced all year. Better than Jimmy Graham.
What?
He's faster than Jimmy Graham. Ex-basketball player. So that'll be something to watch. I still don't think Julius Thomas will have that much of an impact, but Welker obviously is going to be a tough matchup. I don't think Demaryius Thomas will have that big of an impact, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, I think the Hawks have shown the ability to if not shut down completely, really slow down teams' electric tight ends and Jimmy Graham and Vernon Davis this whole season. So twice for both those guys. Neither time they've really had a big game. So I think KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, and Cam Chancellor will all combine to defend Julius Thomas, and they should be able to do a good job defending him.
KJ's back up to speed.
Yeah, he said that he expects to start. I'm not sure how you can
start.
I'm not sure how you can do that. Malcolm Smith has been playing so well, but I guess you say generally you can't lose a job to injury. So if that's the case, KJ Wright will be back starting. But whoever starts, whether it's Wright or Malcolm Smith, both guys will get playing time, and both guys absolutely deserve it. As Malcolm Smith has been playing really well, and KJ has had a great season as a whole.
Yeah, so I think we'll move on to a little bit of talking about the weather. I don't think it'll be that big of that big of an impact on the game. I saw the forecast for today. Today's forecast for Sunday. It's looking all right actually. I heard the weather was gonna be fine. I saw Hawk Blogger talking about it, and that the Broncos would have no excuses. It looks like cloudy.
It's going to be cloudy and
low of 27, high of 45.
Yeah, relatively warm too compared to. It's only been in the 20s this week, but it looks like seems to be getting a little bit warmer, which I'm not sure whether that really gives an advantage to either team. Some say Manning's been worse in the cold weather. That sort of remains to be. It's up in the air really.
I think
the
colder it gets, and the more precipitation, that kind of affects the game. I think it's works out to be more of an advantage for the Seahawks because obviously the Broncos are more of a passing team. That cold ball can have an effect on wide receivers' hands and also the way Manning kind of grips it, I guess.
Yeah, I think the cold ball could. I think if there's wind, that will definitely be an advantage for the Seahawks because wind, as shown in the Broncos-Patriots game, where Peyton Manning's worst game of the season by far, that wind has a huge effect on the passing game as a whole. Obviously, as it's tough to throw the ball accurately. So if there's wind, I think that'll definitely be an advantage to the Seahawks. But if there's snow, I still think that I actually think that could be an advantage for the Broncos because obviously running games will become more important, but which should be an advantage for the Seahawks. But the Broncos are showing the ability to run the ball, and also it.
Why would that?
Because it can be difficult.
Because
it can be difficult to cover guys in the snow down the field. When the receivers know where they're going, it's a lot harder to cut in the snow. And so when the receivers know where they're going,
receivers can't cut either.
Yeah, but they know where they have to cut. The defensive backs, they have to react, and I don't know. I think
they play zone coverage in the snow, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think that the snow it has more. It's not as obviously an advantage for the Seahawks as the wind might be.
Yeah, I don't know what the wind's supposed to be. I haven't heard of the wind.
It's not supposed to be too bad, like single digits in miles per hour, which would really not be that bad. So
yeah, not that bad. So kind of moving along, what are your keys to the game?
Well, on offense, I think Darrell Bevell needs to just let Russell Wilson go a little bit more. He's been sort of reining him in recently, and I think that we're going to have Russell make some plays, whether it be with his legs or with his arm. Russell Wilson hasn't been running the ball as much recently. I'm going to detail that in my the third part of my statistical analysis article, but he's really, towards the end of the regular season and especially in the playoffs, he has not been running the ball very much, whether it be by design runs or scrambles. And I think if he can make some plays with his legs, that would be a huge help to the offense.
Bevell was getting on my nerves during the 49ers game. Some of those play calls were just...
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of the past two playoff games. It's just, I don't know. I just hated the play calling. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think as a whole, towards the end of the regular season, it's been a bit too conservative for my liking. People have been calling Russell Wilson a game manager, which I don't think I think he's significantly better than that title.
He's never had any kind of injury so far except that sore shoulder. So why don't you just?
Yeah, I think you should let him loose. He seems to be
better.
Last
game of the year, he'll have time to recover.
Yeah, when he seems to be better when he's reacting to plays rather than thinking about them anyway. So yeah. I think one of the keys to the offense will definitely be to have Bevell letting him loose.
Yeah.
What about the defense for the Seahawks, Marshall?
I think the key will to be for the safeties to have a really good game because I think the Seahawks should man up pretty well against the Broncos, play lots of man defense, and with two deep safeties, maybe Chancellor on Thomas a couple times so the linebackers can blitz. I think the safeties will have to have a huge game, so Chancellor and Thomas gotta come through for the Seahawks defense.
I think the defensive key for me is getting some pressure up in Manning's face because. Not necessarily on the outsides, where obviously that would be a big advantage, but one of the big keys against Manning throughout his career has been getting interior pressure so he can't move up in the pocket. If you can disrupt the middle with guys like Michael Bennett, Brandon Mebane, I think you really have a chance to disrupt the passing game and make a big difference.
Yeah, I think we'll see a couple coverage sacks as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Especially because of all the good coverage downfield. That should allow Michael Bennett, Chris Clemens, all those guys, Cliff Favorable, time to get to the quarterback. I think it'll also be important for the Seahawks to kind of attack Peyton Manning's legs too. I mean, not in like a hostile kind of trying to injure him way, but try and get him on the ground like that. I mean, we saw that call against Bennett. They called that the low hit.
Oh yeah.
Who was that against?
I don't remember, but it's the Tom Brady rule. It was established after Tom Brady was hurt against the Chiefs when he was sacked low, and so I think that's obviously an issue. But I think if you can not only get the pressure in Manning's face in the middle, but get to him early, maybe rile him early on, and that could be a big key. Because if you're getting to him, even if it's up the middle in the third and fourth quarter, it might be too late by then. I think the Seahawks need to avoid a slow start that they've been having in the past, and one of the ways to do that is to disrupt Manning's passing game early.
What do you say is the key for the Seahawks offense?
Well, obviously, I think besides Bevell letting the playbook loose, but I think that establishing the run early on, because one of the ways that it's been shown that the Broncos are beatable is to control the clock. That's the way the Chargers beat them late in the regular season. And so I think if we can do that, control the clock and keep Manning off the field for as long as possible, that could be big. But I also think that along with the running game, Russell Wilson's going to have to make a couple big plays, explosive plays with his arms or with his legs.
Yeah, mine for the offense would be utilize Percy Harvin in every way possible because he's a great player. Line him up in the slot, line him up outside, line him up as a running back, bring him in motion. I think because once you get Percy going, everything else opens up because you can bring Percy in motion to the left side, run it with Lynch to the right, and that's a money play right there.
No doubt.
So I think it'll be really important for Harvin to get involved.
I would love to see Harvin and Lynch in the backfield at the same time. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Flanking Russell.
That'd be nuts. You have them two on one side, and then Tate, Curse, and Baldwin as 3 receiver set. That's a pretty electric offensive lineup. Okay, so if you think Percy Harvin's the key to the offense, would you say he's your offensive MVP for the Seahawks for this game?
I would say that I'm going to stick with him as my prediction for Super Bowl MVP, Percy Harvin. I know I wrote in my 5 Christmas wishes article back in Christmas that a Seattle sports fan would dream to have Russell Wilson as Super Bowl MVP. That would be awesome to see as Russell's, I guess you could say, slumping, even though he's not. You could say that would be cool to see, but I have to go with Percy Harvin. And then for defensive MVP, I'll have to go with my man Earl Thomas.
Yeah, I was gonna say Earl too, but for offense, I will say Russell Wilson. I think that he's the key. As important as Percy Harvin is, if Russell gets back to his early season form and makes some big throws down the field and makes some plays with his legs, it's just going to completely change the game because it's been something that the Seahawks haven't been able to do recently, and they've been able to win without it, but to beat a team like the Broncos, they're going to have to need some electric plays from Wilson. On the defensive side of the ball, Earl Thomas is a good choice. I think Cam could be big across the middle against those crossing routes and against Julius Thomas, but I'm going to have to go with my boy Michael Bennett.
Saw that one coming.
He's a monster when he's rushing from the inside or the outside, which is big because he's really versatile. I think he's a guy that could get some interior pressure. The Broncos have a good pair of guards. Manny Ramirez, their left guard, is one of the better guards in the game. But I think Bennett's good enough to get some interior pressure, and I think
he's definitely quicker than them, and he'll benefit off Averill and Clemens coming from the outside and some linebacker blitzes. So.
No doubt, and I think he might have a little chip on his shoulder because the Vegas says the odds of Michael Bennett being the Super Bowl MVP are the same as Stephen Hauschka's. So I think Russell's going to be my overall Super Bowl MVP also.
Do they do offense and defense MVPs?
No, they don't. They just do a Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, I got you.
But I think talking about Hauschka, one of the special teams could be one of the big things because I think the Broncos passing game and the Seahawks pass defense could sort of cancel each other out. Same with the Seahawks rush defense and the Seahawks rush offense and the Broncos rush defense, which is very good for those of you who don't know. It's absolutely a top 10 rush defense. So because of those two units, our strength against their strength on both sides of the ball, I think special teams could be a big factor, whether it be with Hauschka kicking or John Ryan punting the ball.
Yeah. I think the Seahawks, I know how you said the Broncos rush defense is really good, but I think they're used to it with the Niners. They had so much success against
the Niners. It's as well as that guy Meatloaf, as they call him for the Broncos, have been playing recently. It's
Pot Roast.
Oh yeah, Pot Roast, not Meatloaf.
Kenny Knighton or whatever.
Yeah. He's been a monster on the inside, but it's hard to say that their defensive line's any better than the 49ers or a team like that we've been playing late in the season with guys like Justin Smith. So,
score prediction?
I think we have a chance to run the ball well against them. But score prediction, I'm going to have to go with 27-24. Seahawks victory.
Seahawks victory. World champs. As I said before, I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks 30-27.
Woo.
They win.
Both of us with a couple of field goal calls. Like I said, Stephen Hauschka and the special teams units could be big.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a very exciting game. One of the most exciting Super Bowls in recent memory. Better than last year's. Yeah, that came down to the wires as well. But Excited to watch. Finally got Seattle team in the championship.
Yeah, and I think one more point is, as in games like this, a lot of the matchups get talked about, a lot of analysis throughout. But in the Super Bowl, in any game, and the Super Bowl in particular, fluky plays happen. We've seen it, whether it be David Tyree's catch against the Patriots, whether it be James Harrison's pick six when the Steelers beat the Cardinals. I think whether it be the fluke safety at the beginning of the last Patriots-Giants Super Bowl, a lot of crazy things can happen. And so as good as the Seahawks defense is, as good as the Broncos offense is, one early turnover, one fumble in the red zone, anything like that, and can just change the entire game. What all this analysis could be for naught, because if something like that happens, it could just change the game completely. So as much as we try to analyze and predict who's going to win, it's still going to come down to that day and who's better and how the ball bounces, that oblong-shaped football. You never know what could happen. Good luck to the Seahawks on Sunday, and a special shout-out, though, to Zdeno Chara of the Boston Bruins. Got his 500th career point this weekend. Great player.
Hockey. I don't know. I guess my shout-out goes to Earl Thomas for my new Wolf Gray Seahawks jersey.
We can fly.
Got all of them now.
Thanks for listening, guys. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.